Hello, my name is Jamie White, and this is another Supplier Diversity and Small Business Economic Impact Report. For those who are new to this channel and this series, this is something that I try to record every week just to let everybody know kind of what's going on when it comes to diverse companies as well as small businesses, primarily in America, but I do like to touch upon global news as well if I feel that it's going to impact small businesses here. Now, the first thing I want to start off with is the really big news for the week, which is that the Federal Reserve um, increased interest rates within the country. So, if you follow the series, I've been talking about this for a while, especially when it comes to August. I was really pushing people or small businesses, that now is the time to go for business loans because this is going to increase and it may increase one more time before the end of the year as well. So, I mean, again, I said this in August, and I'll say this again, even with the rate hike, now is the time to go for a business loan because we can see, I can see these interest rates continuing to increase well into the beginning of next year as well. Now, just if you're curious, it basically went up 0.25% or 25 basis points, or not 25, 0.25 basis points. Um, when it comes to the increase. So uh, for the interest rate. So as you can see here, it went from around 2 to 2.5. I like that 2 to 2.5%. And basically, again, this is at play for small businesses or businesses that are looking to get loans. It's more so about banks lending practices to one another. So it also impacts you. Basically, if that rate increases, then what they're trying to do is they're trying to control inflation. So inflation will now, hopefully, because of this, what generally happens is inflation will now decrease. Um, but it also means that, as when the dollar becomes less worth less, that means you have to pay more to get services. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. And again, just wanted to point this out again. This was the really big news. It has now officially happened. A lot of experts were saying it was going to happen in September. They were right. It's now happened. Be aware that this could happen again. And again, if you're looking for a business loan, now is the time because rates will probably continue to increase. Next up, we have tariffs start to drag on U.S. economy as trade deficit widens. Now, again, I've been harkening back to, again, that August month. I said that, you know, first, basically halfway through this year, basically all economists were on the same page when it says, hey, we're going to continue to do well, right? Even with the tariffs, some people, when they first hit, a lot of people were saying, or not a lot of people. Well, no, a lot of people were questioning. I mean, that's accurate. A lot of people were questioning how this would impact the economy, and even with this, most people figured that the tariffs wouldn't begin to, really, if negative or positive, would really influence the economy a ton until around that third, fourth quarter of this year. So, in reading this, a lot of the time frame was that September month in which we would begin to see a split. Now, obviously, a lot of conservative economists have said that this is going to make the economy, do better, whereas a lot of liberal economists are saying this is going to make the economy do worse. Independent economists have also leaned towards liberals when it talks about the economy most likely dipping a bit when it comes to the tariffs. And what we're seeing now is that that's essentially what's happening. Now, one of the things that I want to note here is that the goods trade gap, we're talking about exports, expanded 75 billion. So that's not good. And I'll show you a chart real quick. Yep. So this is kind of the trade gap that we saw that happens with U.S. merchants. As you can see, it's at a 6 month high. It was already trending downward um, right after. So where is it? So the Trump administration kind of took over around this time frame, and then the trade deficit, went has shortened, which is good. Been around the time when after right after he did it in around February. That's when the trade tariffs kind of went through around, I believe, February through April, around those months. So that's kind of where you see the trade deficit actually shortened, right? So it went from here to once the tariffs hit, it actually started shortening. But a lot of people said that was or some experts are saying that's a temporary solution. Obviously, people in the Trump administration said that's not true. It appears as if they're wrong. That was a temporary solution that happened right after the uh, the tariffs hit. So now we're kind of going back into where we were before. And now, if you're an economist, now it gets interesting, right? Will it, is there another round of tariffs that can hit that can have this decrease again? Or, is there any type of solution that will not see the trade deficit for U.S. Businesses continue to widen? Um, One of the, in addition to that, one of the big things that you should really be worried about now is that a lot of people, due to the new 200 billion in tariffs that U.S. just hit China with, a lot of people are dropping their GDP forecast. I mean, there are points here, and I want to highlight this: net exports may subtract as much as 1.5% from this quarter's GDP advance. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, we're dealing with a company who now has their growth GDP growth estimate at 2.8%. Um, I mean that's amazing. That means that if it does hit 2.8%, some people are estimating that we could have been we could have had two quarters of 4%. Now, for those who are looking at these numbers and saying, whatever, this is liberal talk, or this is incorrect, we've got other people, GDP. JP Morgan has also decreased it from 3.5% to 3%. And the big one here I want to talk about is the Atlanta Fed. So the Atlanta Fed has been, when it comes to estimates for GDP, has been extremely generous when it comes to the Trump administration. They have, excuse me, if you take a look at their estimates, they have 100% bought into the Trump administration and what they're doing with the economy. You can just tell it again. You can tell it from their estimates. They're always, hey, 4% every quarter. That's pretty much their model to a certain extent. But excuse me. But even with the Atlanta Fed being extremely positive on the Trump administration, even they have dropped their projection from 4.4%. So in the third quarter, they believe that the American GDP would raise from 4.2% in the second quarter to 4.4% in the third quarter. Even they have now dropped their estimates to 3.8%. So there's a lot of worry about these new round of tariffs that's hitting China. And in addition to that, on a global perspective, they've also dropped their their estimates as well. So a lot of people are saying that into 2019, this could have a serious impact on the economy. Now, because we're doing so well, even if we're at the 3 or 3.5%, or however much we end up hitting, for us that will seem as if it's very good because it's over that that 3-4%, which is based off of what we were getting, it's actually pretty high. However, we consider the fact that we could be continuing to 4.5% even had we not been hitting these tariffs. I mean, we're losing tons and tons of money here and tons of production. But we'll see if it can still come in around that 4%. Then hey, we're all wrong. And maybe this is something uh, that is still working. But I mean, I'm looking at these estimates. You're looking at these estimates, and if the Atlanta Fed is dropping their estimates, that's when you got to be worried about kind of what's going on. And and again, if you look at my other videos, I've continually talked about how the Atlanta Fed saying this is going to do well. This is going to do well. This is the first time that I've ever seen the Atlanta Fed drop an estimate on the Trump administration. So I think we need to seriously take a serious look at kind of some of these things and maybe hopefully scale back soon. Next up, U.S. Today launches tool to help local small businesses reach targets in marketing. So, and this is just for small businesses. Hey, if you're a small business that's looking to promote locally, the U.S. USA Today now has an opportunity for you to do so. It's called Local IQ. And again, its purpose is to help. excuse me. Is to help in the digital marketing space, help small businesses market to the local community. And again, this is more so if you're a B2C. For my company, I'm a B2B, so it's not as it probably wouldn't be something that I would be looking at specifically. But again, if you're looking for those consumers locally that you know you're looking to reach, I do think that this would be a nice little thing to try. I've tried Twitter, I've tried Facebook in terms of just marketing, just to see kind of how it goes and what return I get. I think that this is another. avenue that I think everyone should probably, at the very least take a look at. Maybe spend, a couple dollars, see how it works for you, and see how to take advantage of. So definitely take a look if you're interested. Next up, and I always do that, like read through it and then I just leave it where it was. But next up is Mastercard and Microsoft team up to help small business become exporters. So the big piece here that Mastercard and Microsoft are pushing is that they're helping the process when it comes to purchasing from or paying your businesses across seas. They just make it simpler. So in here, I just want to, funny, I went all the way up just to hop back down, but this is just kind of a really good visual of what Mastercard and Microsoft are teaming up to do, and apparently, essentially what they're trying to do is they're just right now you may have to use various platforms in order to pay your suppliers. Take a look at how many people are in your supply base, et cetera, et cetera. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to put it into one platform and make it a lot simpler. I'm currently about 30%. I think they said, oh, geez, I think they said 30. No, 300,000. 300,000 of the 30 million small and mid-sized businesses in America export. So they're trying to make that easier, and hopefully, if they make that easier, obviously, that number will go from 300,000 to a lot more. So next up, the Biotech Technology Innovation Organization applauds the U.S. and Senate's bipartisan passage of the Small Business Innovation Protection Act. So basically, this is talking about intellectual property, right? As you can see, the bill directs increased cooperation between the Small Business Administration and the U.S. Patent and Trademark offices to improve that intellectual property protections. Now, IP, and again, I guess it's 46%, or is it 46? Yep. So the average worker of an IP intense industry earns about 46% more than his or her counterparts in the non IP based industry. Obviously, the biotech technology industry is heavily IP driven. So, if you can create something and then, own the intellectual property for, 10, 15 years, however long it is, you can make a ton of money off of that as, as that process is going. So obviously this is going to be extremely important to this industry, and in particular when it comes to small businesses. If you can hit on the patent that everybody has to use now within biotech, it makes sense. It also makes sense for a small business to be protected, because I'm pretty sure large businesses will do whatever they can to make sure they don't have to pay small businesses or small firms that may have that IP locked in. So, for small businesses, I think this is key, and this is an excellent opportunity. Definitely make that stronger for smaller firms. I'm always in support of that, to help support them as they go. So just, quick note: if you're in this field or if you're in an IP heavy field, this is kind of where they're moving towards, and it's a good piece for everyone involved. That's small business. So and lastly, I want to talk about the National Veteran Business Development Council releasing their white paper. So basically, what this is in here, it's the history and business case for the National Veteran Business Development Council, right? So they've just released a white paper. It's about it's 10 pages long, including cover page and whatnot in the reference. What's it called? The Yeah, I forgot what it's called. Basically, where you like have your links at the end. But yep, so it includes all that, about 10 pages. I mean, it just talks about the history of the NVBDC, kind of how they got started, what was in the space before them when it comes to veteran businesses and verifying them, and kind of how they've helped improve the industry. So definitely, if you're interested in when it comes to the history of veteran businesses and kind of what's been going on in that space for the past 5, 10 years, I think you should definitely check this out. And also take a look at how the National Veteran Business Development Council has done what they can to improve the sector and grant opportunities for veteran owned companies. Now, with that being said, that pretty much does it for me. A lot of good news here, a lot of good pieces. Definitely follow up on anything that you're interested in. As always, please like, subscribe, comment on the video, share it with anyone that you think may be interested or may need to know this information. As always, again, thank you for your time, and I will see you next week.